welcome to the Seasoned Butcher. Wow, can you believe it's the middle of summer and all you hunters out there, you guys are getting all ready, all geared up. You're shooting your bows, tweaking your blinds, checking out this new stuff that you just bought. But are you ready this fall when that animal hits the ground? Are you prepared? Do you have in mind the tools and equipment that it's going to take that animal from field to table, or the recipes that you'd like to try? Well, here today, what we're going to do for you is I'm going to show you something a little different. Now that it's summertime, we're going to make some traditional skinless wieners. Now, these skinless wieners are going to be awesome. All you got to do is follow these step-by-step directions that we do here today, but also, if you go down in our description, you're going to find the link to all the directions and to the seasonings that we use right here in this video today. Before we get started, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, but also come check us out on Facebook. If you have any questions about meat making, feel free, send us a message and we'll get back to you as fast as we can. So, to get started with this skinless wiener video, we're going to start with our meat prep. So to make these skinless wieners, what we're going to do is skinless wieners is going to be a 50-50 batch. So we're going to be using 50% pork and 50% venison. Now our batches today are going to be a 25-pound batch. So to do the math, to make this easy, you're going to do a 12.5 pound of pork and a 12.5 pound of venison. But what I'm going to be using for my pork is I'm going to be using pork butt today. As you can see here and in the tubs and stuff, the reason why I prefer pork butt is the meat to fat ratio. Now, some of you guys out there like to use just pure pork fat. You just like to use pure beef fat. Maybe you go get some of them cheap trimmings. Well, when you take expert advice and you're going to base it off on a product and they give you a ratio of 50-50 or 70-30, what is that 30%? Is that pork butt? Is that pure pork fat? And at the end of the day, you're wondering why your products aren't turning out. So here today, especially for all you novices that are just getting into this, to make things way easier, to simple this down so you can have a product turn out with top-notch locker quality, use pork butt. That's our go-to recipe, is using that, because our products turn out a 10 every time. Every time. So, with this pork, what you're going to do is you're going to cut it up in the small enough chunks to go through your grinder for the meat prep. Now, when you're cutting this pork up, you might find a fatty gland in your pork butt. Some pork butts have them, some don't. So by cubing this up, and as you can see here, you'll come across this fatty gland. But all you're going to do is cut that out, throw that away, and keep on trucking along. So after you get all your pork and all your venison cut up, and now us, we pulled our stuff right out of the freezer, so it's already pre-packaged, pre-cut up from last year. We're just trying to empty our freezers out to get ready for the upcoming season. Okay everybody, we have our meat all prepped and ready for the grinder. Now, I'm running a 1/2 inch / for you millimeter guys, 12.5 millimeter grinder plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of our pork, all of our venison, and we're going to run it through this 12.5 millimeter grinder plate to start with. Okay, now that we got done running all of our meat through the first grind, what we're going to do now is go to the next step, mixing your seasonings. We are doing 3 batches today, but I'm only going to focus on showing you how to make one 25-pound batch. This is how easy it is to home butcher. We're going to make 50 pounds of the Wisconsin style right here. This is honestly a 10. You cannot go wrong. This is a safe bet. And for one of the other batches, we're going to do the Texas hot dog. Now that's going to have just a little bit more spice in it, and obviously you can see the color of the seasoning here. To find these spices, go to our description and go right down, and you can find the link right to our site where you can find these seasonings. Now, to get started with the mixing is we weighed out our venison and we weighed out our pork. So we got 12.5 pounds of venison and 12.5 pounds of pork. Now what we're going to do to start with the seasoning in the water, is you're going to add in half the seasoning, half the water, mix it all up, and then you're going to add in the other half of seasoning and the other half the water. Now to recap just a little bit, as you look at my water here, you can see that it's pink, the water that I was using. Now this water, the reason why it's pink is on the back of every package comes with a mixture of fast cure. What I do is I take my fast cure and I mix it right in my water. So when I'm mixing it all up and adding it, I'm making sure that that cure gets thoroughly spread throughout the meat so every piece gets coated with it. Now also when mixing, as you can see here as I'm mixing it up, I'm going to be taking my hands from the outside, folding it to the inside, kind of like you're kneading it, so I can thoroughly make sure that my seasoning reaches every piece of meat. After we get done with this, we're going to hop to the next step, the final grind. Now with the final grind here, we're going to use an 1/8 inch grinder plate. Now, for a little tip here, as you notice, we bounce in between grinder plates. If you've watched any of our previous videos before, we usually run a 4.5, which is about a 3/16. And today we went down finer. We're going to a 1/8 inch because we're making hot dogs. We want a fine consistency. My point is, each grinder plate that we have has its own blades. It's very important that you have, for each plate you have its own blade to match up with it. You don't want to mix and match plates and blades, because each blade and plate is married together. They run smooth together. You'll have better, consistent meat because they will cut better if you just keep them together. So now we're going to get started running all of our seasoned meat through this 1/8 inch plate. But as you see here, we're making these into small little golf ball sized chunks and dropping them in through the throat and letting the auger take that away. Just don't slam that throat filled full of meat because it vacuum locks. It seals in there and all it does is sit and spin and it makes mush. What we want is a nice continual flow, as you see here, coming out the front of the grinder, so then you have nice consistent texture with your meat product. So we're going to finish grinding the rest of this and then we'll move on to the next step. Now we're going to start the stuffing process. So today with these casings, we're using a cellulose casing. Now these are specially formed for smoking, and they're specially designed after we go through the hot water bath procedure, which we're going to touch on here after I get done stuffing. They're meant to peel right off. So we're going to stuff up these 75-pound wieners, and then we're going to move on to the next step. Alright everybody, we just got done stuffing all of these cellulose casings. Now, to get them ready to go into your water bath so you have a nice, perfectly looking hot dog, what you're going to do is you're going to measure, and you're going to want your hot dog to be 6 inches long. That is as long as a bun. Now to make it simple and symmetrical, every hot dog I use a tape measure and find something that is about 6 inches long that you can use as a measuring tool. So then I stick that measuring tool down on the board, and I'll take my fingers and I'll pinch once, and I'll take that hot dog, slide it down, pinch again to measure my 6 inches, and I'll twist that in one direction. Then I'll slide down, pinch once more, slide down one more time, and then I'll pinch, and I'll do that in the opposite direction. And I'll do that so I'll have 8 links in a row. After you get 8 links in a row, what I like to do is I like to cut them, and it creates this nice little bundle. Now, after I do this for the whole entire batch, we're going to move upstairs and I'm going to show you how we're going to finish these off in a hot water bath. Okay everybody, we just got done twisting our hot dogs. So now we're going to move on to the hot water bath. This is how we're going to finish them. So with the hot water bath, as you can see here, is I'm using an actual turkey cooker with the basket in it. And what you're going to do is you're going to fill this 3/4 away with water, is bring that water up to 170 degrees. Now you can be between 150 and 170, but your goal with these hot dogs is to have them up above 145. Just to make sure in this basket, because you're going to stack them in. You're going to see here how I take these hot dogs that are all linked up, place them in the basket, and then I submerge them in the water. So what you're going to be looking for when you temp these hot dogs is you're going to have one that ranges around 150 or so, and you're going to have another one that'll be 155, 160. The lowest one you want over that 145 mark, ideally 150 to be safe. Due to the multiple levels of hot dogs in your water and how water circulates, you're going to come with a little range of temps. As long as your lowest hot dog that you tempt is over 150 degrees, you're 100% safe to eat them cold right out of the package. Now, after you're done bringing these hot dogs up to temp, you're going to pull these out of the water, and this is why I like that basket, is it lets the water drain right off the hot dogs. You can dump them right into your tote, and then you're going to let these cool down. Now, to make these cool down fast, we just take this over to the tap water, run some cold tap water on them, and let them sit for about 15 minutes to stop that cooking process. Bring the temperature of that hot dog down. After that's all said and done, what we're going to do is, this is how you make skinless wieners. Now you're going to sit here with a casing, just like this, right? So the easiest way to do this is, all you got to do is cut where you're twisted, and you're with this nice little shaped hot dog, but it still has a casing on the outside. Well, this is how easy it is to take it right out of this casing, and look at that perfectly formed skinless hot dog right here. Now, all you got to do is I let these dry, maybe about 15-20 minutes, and you're ready to package. You can package them any way you want. You can make 4, 6, 8 in a package, whatever fits your family size and what you're going to use them for. I know guys that like to use these for work because they're pre-cooked, and they eat them just like snack sticks, but it's way healthier. These things here, because you know what went in them and how they were made, this is not something that you just buy out of the store that you're going to just add up all the calories. These are 100% God-given protein that you made right at home. You know what went in these hot dogs that are feeding your kids. So, before we wrap this up, like our channel, subscribe to our channel, but most importantly, don't forget to taste the tradition.